able to see me, but not you, and it won't be recording the chat. If you have questions that come up throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat. And between me talking about Common App and Naviance, I will take a break and answer those questions that you have. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and present. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about is Common App. All right. So if you could just confirm that you can see the Common App screen.
Yes, we can, Miss Wright.
Okay, perfect. So before I jump into the nitty gritty, when you create an account, and I'm going to put in the URL address in the chat box for you, you are going to see this page when you log in. The only difference is going to be that yours is going to be blue and mine is red because it is a practice account. Okay. Common App is an application that I think over 700 or 800 colleges use at this point. So it makes your life a little easier because let's say you're applying to 5 colleges and all of them use Common App. That is going to save you a lot of time because you just have to fill out one application, write one main essay for all of those 5 schools that use the Common App. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be little other essays that individual schools will have you answer, but those are going to be generally shorter and a lot easier to answer also. Okay. So first thing that when you're going to do is when you log in, you are going to go to the Common App tab. Okay. This is your main application. On the left-hand side are all of the different areas that you need to complete in order to finish the Common App. So for example, right now you see that I don't have any check marks next to any of my sections. When you have a check mark, that means that you are finished with that section. And by the time you are done, you're going to have check marks next to everything. Before Common App will let you do anything like add colleges or anything like that, you are going to have to go to the Education tab. And I already filled out some of the information like date of entry. That is the date that you started high school. You are going to, at the top though, click Find School, and you have to search for Towson High School. So go ahead and type in Towson High School. You are going to select it and then hit continue. That is going to automatically populate our information in there for you. You can go ahead and fill out everything else, everything that has a red asterisk, you have to fill out, otherwise it won't let you continue, okay? Last question is going to ask if there was any change in your progression. You're going to select no change in progression and then hit continue, okay? Now you can see that this section for the education has been completed. Once you see that check, now you can go to the college search section and you can start looking at all the different colleges that use the Common App. So for example, let's just do University of Maryland. All right. So you can see here, University of Maryland College Park, UMBC also uses the Common App, and University of Maryland Eastern Shore uses the Common App. If a school does not appear in this list and you've typed it in, that means they are not a Common App school. Schools will sometimes have their own application that you have to fill out on their actual website, or they might use something called the Coalition, which is similar to the Common App, but just a different website. Or they might also use another application website like the Common Application for Black colleges. All right. So go ahead and click the plus to add the school to your list. That means that you want to apply there. You can add as many schools as you want. Just remember, there are application fees for each and every single school. So that can add up pretty quick. Once you've done that, it is going to pop up in your dashboard. This is going to list all of the schools you're applying to. And then under My Colleges, you will also see this list. Okay? When you click on the school under My Colleges, this is where you're going to see the different questions that, for example, University of Maryland is going to ask you to answer. Each school is going to have these separate questions, and this is where you'll also find different essays that they might ask you to complete. Just like the other parts of the Common App, make sure that you have check marks next to all of the different sections, and then you are good to go. One important thing about the Common App is that it actually links and matches to Naviance. Naviance, for those of you who don't know, is our college and career tool that we use at Towson High School. It is how we send your transcripts and your letters of recommendation. So in order to match the Common App and Naviance, you need to complete this Recommenders and FERPA section. Okay, you're just going to click on Complete Release Authorization, and you're going to go through the steps that it gives you, and then that will allow you to match Common App and Naviance. Okay, once you've completed everything you need to, that is when you are going to be able to click on Review and Submit Common App. So right now, it's showing you an error because I haven't done all of these different sections. Okay, once you've actually completed them, it will have an area here for you to review and submit your application. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to stop presenting and see if you have any questions for me about Common App.
So, Ms. Wright, one question that we had in the chat was, what email address should I use when creating my account for Common App?
So you should definitely use your own personal email address. That could be the email address you already have, or if you're creating a separate one for college applications, use that one. Do not use your BCPS email address.
Thank you. And do you have any suggestions about creating a separate email account for college-related information?
Yes. So you are going to be getting a ton of emails from colleges that are interested in you and that you are interested in. So it might be a good idea, if you don't have a professional email address, to set one up now. And that way, all of your college emails are going to be filtered and go right directly to that one email. You can set up a time, maybe weekly, to go through those emails, make sure that you're not missing any deadlines or any notifications or reminders that colleges are sending for you. These are probably the emails that your admissions counselors are going to be seeing. So it's a good idea to make it professional if you don't already have a professional email address.
Thank you. Another question is around, what GPA do I use? Because as we know, we have a weighted and unweighted GPA.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Briggs, but you should put in your weighted GPA to the Common App, because that takes into account the rigor of your classes.
And we report both GPAs to colleges. So both your colleges are going to get your GPAs, both the weighted and unweighted. And it'll ask you on the Common App what GPA you're using. And you can use either, but the Common App will ask you. Perry, you can find out your GPA. It's on your transcript, and we are going to give out copies of your transcript at the beginning of the school year, so you have it.
Yep. Most of the information that it asks for in that education section, like your class size, your class rank, is going to be found all on your transcript.
So some students are getting lots of emails from different colleges, probably from when they did their PSAT or SAT, and they added their email address to that. And that's why we're saying use a separate email address for your college-related applications and things like that, because you're going to get a lot. And then once it's over and you have Picture College, then you can close that out and move on. But you don't want to get it all mixed up with your personal emails.
I will add one other thing that you can do, Brandon, is if there is a college you know you're definitely no longer interested in, if you scroll down to the bottom of their email, they'll generally have an unsubscribe option, which will take you off of their list.
Another question was around how do students request letters of recommendation from teachers and from counselors?
Yep. Okay. So I see one last question, I think, about the Common App, and then we will jump into Naviance and how to do everything on there. So last question I see about the Common App is, if I upload my college essay to the Common App and submit my application, can I change my essay on the Common App? So the answer is no. Once you submit your first application on the Common App, so let's say you have a November 1 deadline like University of Maryland, and then Towson University, which has a December 1 deadline. If you submit for University of Maryland, that locks your essay in. Okay, so please be sure that you are happy with your essay before you hit submit on that first application in Common App.
Ms. Wright, this I have a question, and so we're still on the Common App, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what are some common mistakes made during the Common App application process? And before you answer, Ms. Wright, I'm going to say one thing that I think can be confusing, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, is that each college has a supplement, so a supplemental application, like a little extra piece, and it's specific to each college. So just remembering that that's part of the process, and you've got the main application, but then the supplements. And supplements can range from just a few questions to a whole other essay. But that's not really a mistake, but it's something that students often can be confused by. You know, I'm doing the application, oh, and now I have to do this extra application for the college. But I'll let you continue, Ms. Wright.
Absolutely. So like you said, Mr. Briggs, I don't know if I would consider these mistakes, but I definitely have some suggestions. So there is an activities section in the Common App. It gives you 10 slots. So that means that if you've participated in, I don't know, 15 clubs or extracurricular activities or volunteer positions, you have to narrow that down to 10. Now, something that I see a lot of students doing is they will just list them as if it doesn't matter what order they put them in. My recommendation is rank them by how much time you spend on each activity. So let's say if you work 15 hours a week at, I don't know, a restaurant, and then you also are part of National Art Honor Society, don't necessarily put National Art Honor Society above that 15-hour job, because most likely maybe you're spending an hour on the National Honor Society a week at most. Make sure that colleges are seeing where you're spending the most time right away, and don't bury the lead, okay? Other things that I see sometimes students get confused about is thinking that all colleges are on the Common App. Okay, so not all colleges are on the Common App. If you try to type it in and you see that it's not coming up, that means that they're using a different application. That's not necessarily a problem. And a lot of colleges actually will have an open-ended essay. So if you've already written a Common App essay with one of those 7 prompts, you can usually tweak it to apply to another college's application, okay? Make sure just that everything has those check marks next to it. Common App will not let you submit anything if you have something missing. So they do a good job of making sure you have everything in order. And you can always meet with your counselor or with me to go over anything that you have questions about.
And usually, Ms. Wright and I are available one night after school or one afternoon, right after school, where you can come and meet with us in the library or something like that. So we'll send out information about that.
All right. So next, we are going to transition to our Naviance part of this presentation. I am putting a link in the chat for you. This is how you access Naviance. And I see one last question came up. Yes, we can absolutely meet to make sure that everything is correct before you submit. Okay, so you don't have to access Naviance right now, but that is the link that you probably want to favorite and save for yourself so that you have easy access to it going forward. I'm going to share my screen with you and go over some important things that you need to know about Naviance. All right, and please let me know if you can see this.
Yes, we can see it, Miss Wright.
Okay, perfect. So when you log in, right now it says my name at the top, but you will see your name. If you logged in last year, you probably noticed that this looks a little bit different because they have done some updating. But the main things that I want to draw your attention to today are this welcome message, welcome seniors. That has changed over the summer. So if you click read more, we have made it very easy for you to figure out what you need to do in Naviance in order for us to submit your documents that you need from school. So that would be your transcript, your letters of recommendation from your teachers and your counselor. Okay, so we have these lists and quick links. So first thing that you should be doing is adding colleges to your colleges I'm applying to list if you haven't done so. If you click there, it is going to take you directly to colleges I'm applying to so that you don't have to find it. Okay. Another important thing to know, if you have already used Naviance and added colleges to the I'm thinking about list, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and type in all of those colleges into colleges I'm applying to. So you can see all of these schools I already have listed. You can just click that you are applying to this school, you want to apply to this school. And then up top in the middle, you are going to click move to application list. Okay. When you do this, it is going to ask you what deadline are you applying by. So you can go ahead and click. Remember, early action is usually the first application deadline that schools have available. It just means that you are applying early and you're going to hear back earlier. Okay. Regular decision is a later deadline and you're going to hear back later. So, right, if you're applying by February 1st, you'll probably hear towards, I'd say, March or April. And let me see, none of these other schools. Okay, rolling is a deadline where they will read your application soon after you submit it, and they will let you know their decision about 3 to 4 weeks after you submit your application. The other big deadline, other than early action, is early decision, okay? So that means that you have decided where you want to go and you are committed to that school. You are signing a binding contract. So if you think there is one school for you and you're not interested in any others, you might want to consider early decision, but please talk with your parents and your counselor if you are considering that deadline, okay? So select all of the correct deadlines so that we know when to submit your documents by. And then it says, how will you submit your application? If you click on this drop down and it says via Common App or direct to the institution, it means this school accepts the Common App. Like I said, if it accepts the Common App, my recommendation is to just use the Common App. This school only has a direct to the institution option, which means they are not a Common App school. And this means that they're either using their own application, which CCBC does, or they're using a different website like the Coalition. Go ahead and select direct to the institution if Common App is not an option, and all of your documents will be sent to them through Naviance. Okay. Now, to make your life a little bit easier, when you add these colleges, click add and request transcripts, because then that is going to add those schools to your colleges I'm applying to list and request transcripts automatically so that you don't have to do an extra step. Okay. It is going to ask you, what type of transcript are you requesting? When you are submitting your applications in the fall, the only transcript available is your initial transcript because we haven't even really started senior year at that point, okay? We will send your mid-year transcripts automatically, and then you will tell us which school to send your final transcripts to at the end of senior year. Ignore the SAT ACT score question because, and this is important, we do not send your scores from SAT or ACT. You have to go directly to collegeboard.org or act.org to send your scores yourself, okay? So we do not handle anything with SAT or ACT at Towson. And then you are going to request and finish, okay? So this takes a little while to populate sometimes, but you're going to see all of these schools that I selected pop up under colleges I'm applying to, okay? Do you have any questions so far, Mr. Briggs?
Well, one of them was about linking the Naviance and the Common App, and I think you answered that already. And I'm really glad you said about the test scores. We do not send test scores, so do not request them. You need to go to College Board and ACT to have your test scores sent.
Yes. And if you see a red bar at the top of this colleges I'm applying to list that says Common App and has an option for you to click match, that means that you have not finished matching your Common App and Naviance account. All you need to do once you've finished the Common App side is to click match and put in your Common App email address. And then that will automatically connect Naviance and Common App, and you don't have to worry about anything else from that point. Okay. Back to this handy dandy task list. Other things, if you accidentally forget to request your transcripts when you add your applications, there is a separate page where you can make sure you've requested transcripts for all of your schools, and the link is right here. It's also important that if you have not yet completed a resume, that you do so now. And Naviance actually has a resume tool where it will walk you through building it and format it for you. The link is here for you. Or if you've already created a resume, let's say for something you did junior year, you can upload the resume at this link. The reason that we ask that you create a resume and have it on Naviance is so that your teachers and counselors can access them to help them write you good letters of recommendation, okay? So whenever you request a letter of recommendation, your counselor and your teacher is gonna go into Naviance and say, oh, do they have a resume? And you are gonna make their life a lot easier and your letter of recommendation a lot better if you have that completed, okay? The other thing that you should do before requesting your letters of recommendation is complete your brag sheet. This is just a questionnaire. I will show it to you. It does have a lot of different questions, but this will also help your counselor and your teacher to write you a very good in-depth letter of recommendation. Now, just because there are 23 questions on here does not mean that you have to answer all 23 questions. If you feel like a question does not apply to you or the information will not add to your letter of recommendation, go ahead and skip it and make sure to just focus on the ones that you think would benefit you and your teachers and your counselors. Okay. Let's go back again. Now that you have completed your resume and your brag sheet, you are ready to request your letters of recommendation. When I say request letters of recommendation, the first step is to actually speak to your teacher. So when you return to school, if you already know who you would like to ask, please go and see them in person and verbally ask if they are able and willing to write you a letter of recommendation. I have a lot of students who are worried about who they should ask. Something that I tell everyone is that if a teacher does not think they can write you a good letter of recommendation, they will not accept your request. Okay, so they will probably say, I don't think I'm the best person to do this letter. Please ask someone else. Okay, so you don't have to worry that your recommender is going to write you a bad letter. Once you get a verbal confirmation that your teacher is willing to write you a letter of recommendation, you can go ahead and for step number 5, click here. This will take you to the letters of recommendation requests page. And if it would load, we could actually see what it looks like. So
that would be great. Can you help us out, internet? Right.
Let's see. Well, so if it loads, whatever, you're going to see a add request button down here on the right. When you click that, it is going to come up with several different fields. First one is, who are you actually going to request a letter of recommendation from? There is going to be a drop-down list of all the teachers in the school, and you are going to be able to go ahead and request their specific name. Once you have selected the teacher that you want to request a letter from, the next option that you're going to have to answer is, do you want that letter of recommendation to go to all of your schools or specific schools? Our recommendation is to say all of your schools, because that way the teacher is going to upload their letter. Even if you add, let's say, 5 extra schools in December and you requested the letter in October, Naviance will automatically allow us to send that letter of recommendation to those extra schools that you added later. If you select specific schools, it gets a little bit trickier. If you feel like you might need to do that, please talk to your counselor and we can walk you through it and make sure that you're not missing anything or that you're not blocking your letters from going to certain schools, okay? Safest bet is to just say all schools. Okay, looks like Naviance hates us right now, so we will not actually see what that looks like.
Well, while you're doing that, Ms. Wright, I think that's a really important comment that you made about teachers to different schools. The easiest option is all letters go to all schools, right? If you get into I want such and such a teacher to go to such and such a school, and then the other teacher to go to another school, it can get complicated, and you need to make sure that you have someone else, your school counselor, look at what it is you're asking Naviance to do. So if you are asking a certain letter to go to a certain school, but then another letter to go to another school from a different teacher, please have someone check it. Because sometimes it can just gets confusing, and we weren't able to show you the actual page, but just make sure someone checks your letter preferences. If you're doing all teacher letters to all schools, don't worry about it. All right.
Yep. Number 6 is just a reminder that you need to request your test scores from collegeboard.org or act.org. So if you click these links, it's going to take you to those separate websites. You're going to log into your accounts, and then you're going to put in the different colleges you want to receive your scores. Okay. The last thing that I have linked here for you is a place where you can put in scholarships that you are applying to. So as you finish up applications, you should be turning your attention to scholarships. When you find a scholarship that you're applying to, you can go ahead and click this plus sign, and it's going to let you put in either a name, so you can type in a name, or there's a giant drop down of scholarships that you can choose that are already populated in Naviance. For award status, you can, if you just submitted the application and you don't know if you got the money or not, you can just leave it unknown. And then once you know what you have received, if you got money, let's say, and you can put in, I got $10,000. And that is going to keep track of all of the scholarships that you receive. Okay. Other important things that I want you to know about Naviance. In the senior welcome message, under all of these quick links, is a senior year calendar. So if you ever get lost and you're wondering, did I forget to do something this month that it was important? Please scroll through this calendar, and we have different tasks outlined for you that should be accomplished in that month. Okay. Other important things are going to come up down here under important to-dos and tasks. So right now you can see you should complete the senior brag sheet and create a post-secondary SMART goal. That is going to be updated as you complete different tasks and as we need you to do extra ones. Okay. Other things that you can do is colleges are going to be visiting us in the fall. So some of them are going to be coming in person to the library, and some of them are going to be virtual. As they schedule their visits, we are going to put them on Naviance. So under colleges, you can see college visits. Right now, we already have several colleges registered to visit us. Okay, so you can see Goucher College, University of South Carolina. I would say check this list frequently and see if any colleges that you're thinking about or curious about are coming to visit, or if there's a college that you're definitely applying to and you want to ask some last minute questions and meet your admissions counselor, register for these visits. Okay, if you click register now, you are going to be registered and you will get a pass the morning of that visit to go down at the specific time and meet with that admissions counselor. Okay, any questions about the visits? All right. Another good tool, if you have not yet used it or you're still trying to figure out what colleges you should apply to, under the colleges tab again, is the Supermatch College Search. So this is a really good tool if you are just thinking about what colleges you might want to apply to. At the top, there are lots of different categories for you to choose from. So for example, if you have a specific major that you're interested in studying, you can go ahead and add that. And then down below, you can see all of the different things I've already added. It's going to give you colleges that match what you are looking for. Okay, so this is a good place if you're looking for some extra schools to apply to. Right? If you're just thinking, okay, I heard about this school, I want to get some extra information and I don't want to look at their website, I'm going to type in University of Maryland on the homepage and click search. Down below, you are going to see lots of different colleges. I'm going to select University of Maryland College Park. Each college on Naviance has their own page that gives you information about that specific school. So you can see here, it gives you the average price, graduation rate, acceptance rate, and their next deadline, okay? This is going to give you a lot of different information. Down here, it is going to give you information about how you compare with other students who have applied to the University of Maryland College Park. So this can be very useful if you are looking to see if you're kind of within that range of students who have been accepted. Okay. Under admissions, you will see more information about like their application fee, different important policies that they have. And then down here, you will see your high school's application history, which shows you how many students from Towson High School applied, how many were accepted, and how many actually are attending. And then this is a scattergram. It doesn't all look like this mess, but since we have a lot of students who apply to University of Maryland, there is a lot of data to be had here. So this will tell you who got accepted and who got either waitlisted, which is these little circles, and who got denied, which are these little X's. So you can look at the check marks and you can see that this person, they had an SAT score of 1320 and a GPA of 5.38. That is a weighted GPA, and they got accepted. You can also look down here. This person had an SAT of 1,000 and a 2.741 GPA, and they got accepted, okay? So this can just give you a little bit more room and understanding of where you fit into the application process and if you are likely to get accepted or not. Any questions about researching colleges on Naviance or the scattergrams or anything like that? Okay, last thing that I want to show you is scholarships. So I mentioned that quick link about where to add scholarship information that you've applied to. But if you're just starting to look at scholarships, Naviance does have a scholarship list. So if you go to the colleges tab again, click on scholarship list on the right, it is going to ask you to put your GPA. So let's say 3.0. and we're going to go to local and regional scholarships. Here is a giant list of scholarships. If you keep scrolling, the list will just keep going. Okay, so you can go ahead and select eligibility. So like maybe scholarships that only accept 12th graders. Some scholarships require service hours, certain number of service hours. You can select that. Some require an essay. You can also see if a scholarship is need-based, meaning that the FAFSA is showing that your family needs money in order for you to afford college, or merit-based, meaning that you need to have a certain GPA in order to apply for that scholarship. Okay, so you can go ahead and filter this by deadline, let's say, and then get started on applying to these scholarships. If you need help, I also have lots of other scholarship information, and you will be seeing a lot of that coming up in both Naviance and Schoology. Okay? Any other questions that are coming up right now? Let's see. If you need further help, yes, absolutely. You should be able to meet with your counselor, and then if you want extra additional support, I'm also the college and career counselor for all of Towson High School, so I'm able to meet with seniors and help them through the entire application process. And then another question, do you send letters of recommendation from Naviance for scholarships? Good question. We do not. So for scholarships, they're going to either have an online portal for you to complete your application in. If they have an online portal, they will usually ask you to put in your recommender's email address, and they will get their letter that way, or they will ask you to actually like have a physical copy of it and either mail or give it to them. If they want a physical copy, you will have to ask your recommender to put that in an envelope for you so that you can go ahead and submit the letter. And yes, you can get the copies of the letters for scholarships. They just have to be sealed so that you can't read them. Any other questions about Naviance, Common App scholarships, researching colleges, anything like that? I know that was a lot in a short period of time, but remember, this is recorded. So I will be sending out the recording probably next week, and then you can go ahead and rewatch it if you have questions about certain parts. And like I said, you can absolutely meet with your counselor and with me to go over anything that I've talked about. All right. If there are no other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and put an evaluation link in the chat box for you. If you are not planning to attend our last session for financial aid, then please complete this evaluation now. If you are planning to attend our financial aid session, hold off until the end of that to complete the evaluation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I will see you in the next session, which will be starting around 1 o'clock. Yes, Cynthia, since we are recording this session, you are going to get an email with a link to rewatch it.